Late position steals pre-flop. In online poker games, your win rate is built on 1,000 small edges. Late position steals are one of the cleanest edges you can take because you control who is left to act, you leverage fold equity, and you avoid the most expensive mistake in poker, playing too many hands out of position. This is not about getting lucky with trash. It is about understanding what your raise is supposed to accomplish, how rake changes thin spots, and how different blinds defend. When you multi-table, you want repeatable rules that stay profitable under pressure. What a steal actually is. A steal is a late position open that targets the blinds. Your goal is to win the pot pre-flop often enough that your open shows immediate profit. And when you get called, you arrive at the flop with initiative and position. The most common leak I see is players thinking of steals as bluffs only. Your late position opening range contains value hands, strong playable hands, and some lower equity hands that work because of fold equity and position. You are not gambling, you are buying a profitable situation. The math that justifies stealing. Let us make the expected value concrete. In a typical online cash game, say you opened to 2.5 big blinds from the button. The pot before you open is 1.5 big blinds. You risk 2.5 big blinds to win 1.5 big blinds. If everyone folds, you win 1.5 big blinds. If you get played back at, you do not automatically lose, but the break-even fold frequency for an immediate profit is still useful. First, break-even fold frequency equals risk divided by risk plus reward. Second, 2.5 divided by 2.5 plus 1.5 equals 0.625. Third, so you need folds about 62.5% of the time for the open to show profit with zero post-flop expected value. In reality, your post-flop expected value in position is often positive, so you can profitably open even when the blinds defend more. This is why the button is the money printer seat online. Now add reality. Rake lowers the value of marginal opens and marginal calls, especially in small and mid-stakes online pools where rake is significant. You do not respond to rake by becoming a nit. You respond by choosing hands that realize equity well and by not defending the blinds with garbage that bleeds in raked pots. Who is left to act, the real engine. Steal frequency is not just position-based. It is opponent-based, and it is seat-based. You should look at who is left to act and ask two questions. First, how often will they fold to my open? Second, when they continue, will they do it by calling or by 3-bet? A regular who 3-bets a lot makes your bottom opens worse because you lose the comfortable in position, single raised pot. A passive caller makes your opens better, but you should lean into hands that play well post-flop, not hands that rely purely on folds. This is the adjustment most players miss when multi-tabling. They open a fixed chart and ignore that one blind is a nit and the other is an aggressive regular. Context dictates strategy. Baseline steal ranges you can start with. We are in the pre-flop category, so your first job is to build a profitable opening structure, then you tweak it based on blind tendencies. Cutoff baseline. Think in the neighborhood of 25 to 35% in many online formats. You open all pairs, most suited broadways, a chunk of suited connectors like 7-6 suited plus, and suited aces down to ace-5 suited or lower depending on the blinds. You keep the worst offsuit trash out because it realizes equity badly when called. Button baseline. Think 40 to 55% as a common online starting point. You add more suited gappers, more offsuit broadways, and some offsuit aces. If the blinds are tight, you widen. If the blinds are strong defenders, you tighten the bottom and keep the hands that can continue, versus 3-bets, and that play well post-flop. Small blind steal is a special case because you will be out of position post-flop. Many players oversteal from the small blind because they see only one player left. That is a mistake. Your range should be strong and coherent because you pay for mistakes out of position. You still attack, but you do it with a plan for the big blind response. Raise size, keep it simple and purposeful. On most online sites, 2.0 big blinds to 2.5 big blinds from cutoff and button is standard. Smaller sizes increase your immediate break-even point in your favor and allow you to steal wider. They also give the blinds a better price to defend, so you need to be comfortable playing more post-flop. Against opponents who overfold, you can keep the small sizing and print. Against opponents who call too much, you do not fix it by inflating the pot with trash. You fix it by tightening the worst hands and value betting them more aggressively later. From the small blind, many strong players use a larger open, like 2.5 big blinds to 3.5 big blinds, to punish the big blind for realizing equity cheaply. The right size depends on pool habits and how well you play out of position. Steal versus defend profiles. You should label the blinds quickly, not with emotion, with categories. In online pools, most players cluster into a few profiles. First, nit blind, folds too much, rarely 3 bets. Open wider, keep sizing standard, expect to win, pre-flop often. Second, sticky caller, defends wide, does not 3-bet enough. Open hands with good playability, suited hands rise in value, offsuit junk falls. Third, aggressive regular, 3-bets frequently, especially versus button. Tighten bottom opens, add more open 4-bet candidates only if you are prepared, and favor hands that can call 3 bets in position and realize equity. Fourth, short stacker, tends to jam or 3-bet shove. Remove the weakest opens and open hands that can profitably continue versus jams. Relative strength is everything. A hand is not good or bad by itself. It is good or bad given the opponent response and how well you realize equity. Anti-hope. Poker. Stop set mining, late position. When you open late position and face a 3-bet, do not default to calling with small pairs just to hit a set. In online poker, rake plus the frequency you miss makes pure set mining a leak unless stacks are deep and the opponent pays off too much. Instead, your continued strategy should be built on hands that can win without flopping a miracle. Suited broadways, suited aces, and medium pairs that can navigate more boards will outperform the passive, hope-based call. Common late position steal spots and what to do. Here are the high-frequency situations you will face every session. The goal is simple decision-making that stays profitable when you are playing multiple tables. First, cut off open, button still to act. Tighten slightly if button is a strong 3-better. You are not afraid, you are avoiding low expected value. Opens that get punished. Second, button open, blinds are unknown, use your baseline. Track fold to steal and 3-bet stats quickly. One clean adjustment can be worth more than fancy post-flop lines. Third, button open, big blind defends wide. Favor hands with equity realization. More suited hands, fewer offsuit, weak aces, and weak kings. Fourth, button open, small blind, 3-bets, polar. Defend with hands that block value and that play well in position. Use 4-bets selectively, and do not torch money with automatic calls. Pre-flop is the root decision. If you choose the right hands to enter with, post-flop becomes simpler and more profitable. Hand scenario. The autopilot steal that prints. Game. Online. 6 max cash, 100 big blinds effective. You are multi-tabling and want a repeatable steal line. Hero. Button with king 9 suited, both of hearts. Small blind folds, big blind is a straightforward unknown. Pre-flop. You open to 2.2 big blinds, big blind calls. Flop. Ace of diamonds, 7 of clubs, 2 of spades. Pot is 4.9 big blinds. Action. Big blind checks. You see bet 1.6 big blinds. Big blind folds. Coaching. This is the bread and butter. Your hand has backdoor potential, but the real point is that this board is better for your range than big blind's calling range. A small C bet leverages your range advantage and wins immediately a lot. If big blind is the type to check, raise, bluff often, you still do not panic. You adjust with more checks on future boards and tighter opens, not by abandoning steals. 3 practical adjustments that add expected value fast. If you want immediate results, focus on these. They are simple, measurable, and they scale. First, cut the bottom offsuit when the blinds defend well. Hands like king 7 offsuit and queen 8 offsuit look playable, but they realize equity poorly and get you into dominated spots. Second, add suited hands against callers. Suited connectors, suited gappers, and suited aces give you more strong draws and more profitable barrels. Third, open a bit tighter versus high 3-bet. You do not need to win every blind, you need to avoid donating with hands that cannot continue versus pressure. This is where discipline beats creativity. Your job is to take the easy money, not to force action. Quick self-audit for your database. If you use tracking software, you can sanity check your steal game in a few minutes. First, look at your raise first in from cutoff and button. Is button meaningfully higher than cutoff? Second, check your steal success rate. If you never win pre-flop, your opens are too tight for the pool or your sizing is inefficient. Third, review hands where you open button and face a 3-bet. Are you overfolding the top of your range or calling too wide with dominated offsuit hands? Fourth, compare win rate in button single raised pots versus 3-bet pots. If 3-bet pots are bleeding, tighten the bottom and improve your 3-bet defense plan. Data keeps you honest. It also prevents the classic online leak of making big changes after one annoying session. Key takeaway. Late position steals are an expected value engine because you risk a small amount to win the blinds, you play in position when called, and you pressure ranges that are capped and wide. Use a tight, playable baseline from cutoff and a wider button range, then adjust based on who is left to act. Tight blinds mean you widen, sticky callers mean you pick more suited hands, aggressive 3-betters mean you remove the lowest equity opens. Keep your sizing consistent, respect rake by avoiding thin trash, and never rely on hope poker like automatic set mining to justify a steal. Now, let's test your edge. Question 1. In the article's example, open to 2.5 big blinds with 1.5 big blinds in the pot. What is the break-even fold frequency for an immediate profit with 0 post-flop expected value? Answer, 62.5%. Explanation, break-even. Fold frequency is risk divided by risk plus reward equal to 2.5 divided by 2.5 plus 1.5, which equals 0.625. Question 2. According to the article, what 2 advantages do you arrive at the flop with when your late position open gets called? Answer, initiative and position. Explanation. The article defines a steal as a late position open that wins pre-flop often, and when called you play the flop with both initiative and positional advantage. Question 3. What baseline steal frequency ranges does the article suggest as common starting points for cutoff and button in many online formats? Answer, cutoff, about 25 to 35%, button, about 40 to 55%. Explanation. The baseline ranges section gives neighborhood percentages for cutoff and button as common online starting points before adjusting for the blinds. Question 4. In the steal versus defend profile section, how should you adjust your opens against a sticky caller who defends wide but does not 3-bet enough? Answer, open hands with good playability. Suited hands rise in value and offsuit junk falls. Explanation. The article says sticky callers improve the value of suited playable hands because you'll see more flops, while weak offsuit hands realize equity poorly when called. Question 5. In the hand scenario, what was Hero's C bet size on the flop and what concept did the article say it leveraged? Answer, 1.6 big blinds, leveraging range advantage. Explanation. The scenario explains that a small C bet on that flop wins immediately often because the board favors the opener's range more than the big blind's calling range. Study hard, play smart. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next lesson.